there's been a very fascinating subject of a trend that has happened very recently of a Shembe church older men to be specific, supposedly getting married to younger girls. And this has been, it's been online for the past week or so. It's been all over the place. I mean, like you cannot avoid it even if you tried. And so right now I wanted to talk about this subject because it does present something that I thought was quite an interesting one. And I'll tell you what exactly does it present. It presents us with an opportunity to look at the kind of things that people get involved in when they get into false doctrine. By false doctrine, I mean how far humans will subject themselves to anything after they've submitted themselves to something that is false. And so this is the Shembe movement. If you don't know, they are a church with over 4 million members in South Africa. They are majority people from the KZN area. It's predominantly a Zulu-based people church. The age gaps between these marriages, and so this was one of the pictures, and I saw this other one, and it was claimed online that this was also one of those marriages. And if you go a little bit further, it was shown that this is one of those marriages, and they were claiming that these are very young people compared to the people that are being shown to be partners and so forth, and the whole nine yards. Now, like I said, when people get into falsehood or into false doctrine, they allow themselves into all kinds of things. And I think this is just one example. I want to use the church of the Latter-day Church here. And I want to show you the progression of how they were willing to accept the doctrine of polygamy that Joseph actually introduced. As a man, they say, is a prophet by the name of Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith went into the bushes. He said that he had God, and God told him to establish a brand new church. All the other churches were in error. Basically, he said that there were a bunch of angels. Okay, there was a bunch of angels that showed up in a vision. Not in a vision exactly, but it's almost like he was with them in person and stuff. And they gave him these tablets that he interpreted for a new version of the Testament. Or one particular publication that's very popular, which talks about the doctrine of plural marriages, as you might actually call it. This is the name of the document right here. You can find this document on their church website. This is on their church website, you can see, and I'm going to read you certain portions out of this where you can see for yourself the introduction. Okay, it was clear right there. You see, it's almost like the devil is obligated to show you he's the devil. Can't just deceive you. He has to show you you're dealing with the devil, and he avoided all the signs. For example, in one particular portion, I don't know if it's like verse number 2 here, it says, some early members of the church of the Latter-day Saints also received and obeyed this commandment, the commandment of plural marriages. If you read from 1 there, it says, in biblical times, the Lord commanded some of his people to practice plural marriages. Where? They're talking bogus. They were not instructed. They decided to do so. There's nobody in the Bible who was instructed to marry multiple women. So right there, a lie has been introduced. That's a lie. So verse number 2, some early members of the church of the latter day received and obeyed this commandment. Where was it a commandment? So you see, that's lie number 2 there. Where was it a commandment? Go back in there. Right? And then it says they received this commandment and were given through God's prophets. So let's be very clear. It is the claim of the church that this was received through they are prophets. It wasn't a God. So when they put it there that to say that it was given by God, no, it was given by the people that they were listening to, the people that they were following. Okay, you go forward. It says, and after receiving the revelation commanding him to practice plural marriages, Joseph married multiple wives and introduced the practice to close associates. So he himself started getting involved in this. By the way, there's a very funny note concerning that. We're going to get into that part in a second. Another portion, okay, when you read going further down, I think there is a portion that, in that, let me see where exactly it notes it. So verse number 2 there, as you go down, right there, it says, but many later testified of the powerful and spiritual experience that helped them overcome their hesitance and gave them courage to accept the practice. So there were people that were like, but this is not sounding biblical, but we don't know. But all of a sudden, they come out saying, oh, they received spiritual experience. You introduce demons you allow demons to influence you pertaining what you believe. Simple. There's no spiritual experience, nothing. There's no experience, nothing. Yeah, okay. There is so that they can practice this commandment, which they claim is in the Bible, which is not. But anyways, we continue on. The more you read going further down, you will see here that there is also this other portion on the same publication. It says, the president, they're speaking about the president of the country at that time. The president, Wilford, issued an inspired statement known as the Manifesto in 1890, which led to the end of plural marriages, okay, and in the church. And though it all, the church leaders and members sought to follow God's will. Which one? So, though the country had said, you know what, we're not doing that, we don't have any of that stuff, so don't do it. They said, no, there is God's instruction by these people who are who are dealing in lust right now, and so we're going to follow that. So these people started following this, and guys, people were willing to die for this thing. People were willing to die. You go further in there, it says that the latter day understood that they were living in the latter days, and in what the revelation called the dispensation of the fulfillment of times, whatever they called this thing, or whatever they called this so-called principle of which was not biblical to begin with. They said that they believed that they were living traits. Don't mind that. And so they believed that they were living in biblical times, and the ancient principle, verse number 6, the ancient principle such as prophets, priesthood, temples would be restored on the earth. Now, question, when did prophets cease? Cessationalism had affected them to build up a doctrine that was not even, when does the Bible say, because there are doctrines, there are churches that might believe that, denominations that might believe that, but nowhere does it say they have ceased. Unless misinterpretation of the New Testament verses. Temples have ceased. The reason being that we are the temple. Would be restored to the earth. Plural marriage was one of those ancient principles. Again, I repeat, where was it instructed in the Bible? By the way, Joseph died fighting to protect this particular thing. He died trying to fight this particular principle, as they claim it. Another portion in that very same thing, appearance of the angel, which was, oh man, this part here, it's poetry. This should have told him you were speaking to the devil. Okay, it says, during the third and final appearance, okay, of the angel, the angel came with a drawn sword, threatening Joseph with destruction unless he went forward and obeyed the commandment fully. At that moment, he should have known, this is not an angel. Sha. This is not an angel. If he had known the scripture, he would have known no angel is gonna come and threaten you because you don't want to obey what a drawn sword to obey fully. And what does obeying fully mean? Actually it goes on to actually show there fragmented evidence suggests that Joseph acted on the angel's command to marry plural wives, and so he also started thinking. And guess what? One of these wives that he actually married, or some of the wives that you actually think, which takes us back to this current story, right here. You can read the ages of the woman. 16, 17, man then became dodge, or fell straight into dodge. Why? Because they started to believe, no, we don't see it in the Bible, but somehow the people that are telling us what, clearly dealing in lust, they must be right. People were willing to die. Joseph himself died trying to protect this thing. When Joseph got shot, he got shot trying to protect and fight the government concerning this particular law. By that moment, he should have known he was no longer talking to the angel. The fact that that particular being came with a drawn sword, that should have told you something. And so, when you see what's happening there, and by the way, I just find it quite interesting that immediately after this entire story came up, there was also this story that came alongside. Shembe slams a lady over old man counting maiden post. So basically, this influencer posted concerning this particular subject and whatnot. I don't know what she exactly said and stuff like that. And so maybe she said something that was pretty much offensive or something like that. And so basically they said, now lady is a child. She was just joking like everyone, and we are not going to comment on this, said ta-ra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. And so basically the church kind of like, but remember something here. The people wanted to talk about whether these ladies also gave consent, or it's either parents are the ones that are marrying them out and whatnot. We understand those type of marriages, arranged marriages, which particularly focus on the economic factors and stuff like that. We get that. And so for me, it's not really, that's not really the conversation for me. These people are going to marry who they're going to marry. These churches will practice whatever doctrine they practice. The thing that I wanted to highlight here is that when people find their own version of doctrine, they will build belief systems around those doctrines. Clearly seen right here. You can see when people build their own ideas, the same way Joseph Smith came up. Hey, no, he has his own. He had his own commandment, New Testament, the newer Testament than the other one of a Jesus who went and he met the Mexicans there. And that dodgy stuff, just weird, talking weird stuff. So once you are willing to accept that far of a fabrication, by the way, the Book of Mormon has never been validated geographically and stuff like that. It speaks about animals that were nowhere near the particular area that has been spoken about. No map in the Mormon Bible actually fits any particular world map because he was making it up. People died protecting this stuff. Little do they know. If only they had asked concerning the scripture, they would have known. All the things that he's saying here is not biblical. And so once a person is willing to believe a false thing that the Bible warns against, there is no telling what they will believe next. Y'all tell me your thoughts down in the comment section. It's Ricky. Other episodes that will be down in the pin comments, and I must see you on a later on video.